Coming up on this week's edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
We'll discuss biosecurity in the beef industry and explain why producers should have a plan in case of a disease outbreak. Plus, we'll tell you about a valuable tool you can use to create a customized biosecurity plan for your own operation.
And now, NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Hello and welcome to NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. I'm Kevin Ochsner. Biosecurity is crucial to the beef industry because a major animal disease outbreak could be devastating not only to an individual operation, but to the entire beef supply chain. So, what can you do to help protect your herd? Joining us now is Dr. Julia Herman, beef cattle specialist veterinarian at NCBA. Dr. Herman, thanks for coming to the show. And I guess first question I would ask is do you believe cattle producers are spending as much time and focus as we should on biosecurity?
You know, that's a great question, and I think it depends on the individual operation. There are a lot of things that cattle producers do on a daily basis that play into that biosecurity plan or biosecurity prevention. That's working with the veterinarian for their herd health plan, improving their vaccination program, good nutrition. All of that plays into biosecurity. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of producers are already doing that. I think sometimes we get complacent, and I think we need to critically evaluate what we're doing on a daily basis and, you know, honestly, what can we improve? Mm-hmm. I think this is something we can always be improving upon. Mm-hmm. And so while we are doing good things now, we can always be better in the area of biosecurity.
But it's not just about producers. I mean, it's about the entire industry, and all segments really share responsibility in this. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I mean, the cattle industry is very diverse. We know that, from our small operations to our big feed yards to including the dairy industry. Mm-hmm. We have a very diverse cattle industry, and each of those sectors feed into the next one. And so how can we best prepare that animal to go into the next sector, but also how do we protect them from spreading any diseases to other animals? So that could be respiratory disease, it could be trichomoniasis during breeding season. Mm-hmm. There are things that one operation might not think is important to the next, but we always need to be thinking about where that animal is going next and how do we best protect them.
So what are some considerations that I as a producer should take into account as I develop my own biosecurity plan?
I think, so customizing that plan to whatever your operation is. Your operation is not going to be the same as somebody in Tennessee or down in Florida. Mm-hmm. Customizing it to your specific operation and really evaluating all the different risks that might be coming onto or off your farm. Mm-hmm. So that could be animal movement coming in, like your new bulls that you're bringing in. Are you quarantining them before you put them with the home herd? Do you have show animals on the property? Show animals have a higher biosecurity risk or a different biosecurity risk profile than your home herd. How do we protect your home herd from those? Different deliveries, like when you're getting your feed delivered, having all of those different industry stakeholders that are coming on and off your farm, even the mailman, you know, that can be considered a biosecurity risk. So it's really evaluating those everyday activities and what could be coming onto the farm, and how do we break up those cycles of transmission? And so are we providing coveralls to visitors? Are we providing boot covers? Is it just as simple as we keep visitors in the parking lot and we don't let them come onto the rest of the operation? So there are some practical ways that we can improve that biosecurity on the farm. And again, it just depends on what your operation, one, their goals are, but also what they're able to do, because we want it to be practical, we want it to be implementable.
Absolutely. So what are some steps that producers can take to begin building their own biosecurity plan?
Well, as we talked about, there's already steps being taken on a daily basis, but I think the big thing is working with your veterinarian in your resource group. So that could be the nutritionist, your state extension specialist, but veterinarians in particular are really trained to look at the big picture and look at all of those different biosecurity risks, not just from the health of the animal, but the health of the human. We have to keep our humans safe too. And so when we sit down and develop a herd health plan with the veterinarian, biosecurity goes hand in hand in that. And I think the other thing to think about, biosecurity doesn't work in a vacuum. I mean, it applies to herd health, it applies to an emergency action plan. A lot of these steps can be applicable to a lot of different aspects of the operation. And so BQA has a really great tool. It's called the Daily Biosecurity Plan for Disease Prevention. And it goes through 12 different areas on the operation where we can really hone in on what we're doing now. Again, what are we doing now? What are the risks that are happening now? And what can we do to better protect in case a disease comes onto the operation? Again, this could be something like BRD, maybe it's scours or something like that. How do we protect our animals once that disease, either protect it from the disease even coming on, but if it is there, how do we protect your healthy animals from your sick animals?
Yeah. Thank you so much for your insight, and we'll circle back to you a little later in the show.
Thank you, Kevin.
Now, if you want to learn more about the Secure Beef Supply Plan or learn how to write a biosecurity plan that is specific to your own operation, just visit the website securebeef.org. Still to come, we'll dive deeper into the topic of biosecurity and how it can protect both the movement of cattle and the market for U.S. beef. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
By installing Ritchie waterers, you save water while keeping it fresh and always available to your animals. You protect the land by keeping natural water clean and soil healthy. And you conserve power because they're energy efficient. We're committed to helping you create a prosperous, sustainable, and regenerative future. Because we know, like you know, that every saved drop matters. Ritchie, fresh water for life.
Cattle producers across the country work hard to care for their animals and their land. The USDA's Natural Resources Conservation Service is there to help. Find out how you can work with NRCS to develop a conservation plan for your operation. Find possible funding resources for implementing conservation practices, or get free expert advice on ways to improve your farm or ranch. Visit the website nrcs.usda.gov today.
Welcome back. The threat posed by any potential outbreak of foot and mouth disease is that it could shut down the movement of cattle and directly impact the marketplace for U.S. beef. We asked several people in the beef industry for their insights on biosecurity and the need for a secure beef supply plan.
I think the biosecurity plan is very important for two reasons. One, if we do get some kind of outbreak on this farm, biosecurity would be very important to keep it from spreading to other farms. And if other farms have some kind of outbreak, the biosecurity plan would be very important to keep it from coming on to our operation here, to try to keep some flow of in-commerce open if we can keep it in or out.
We cow-calf producers kind of ride the wave and probably sell our calf crop once a year. And what's that going to look like if all of a sudden everything comes to a screeching halt? And there you sit with your fall calf crop and you can't move them. You know, you have to put things in place so that you at least have a fighting chance of being able to figure out a transport plan and how to document that you have a biosecure facility, that you're following those procedures, because it's like going hunting without any ammunition. If you don't arm yourself with the proper tools and procedures, you're gonna go nowhere.
And joining us now to talk more about this topic is Colin Woodall, CEO of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. Colin, foot and mouth disease has really not been an issue for the United States or actually North America for, 100 years or so. Why is it a continual concern for us?
Well, one, we have to go back to the fact that it hasn't been a problem for 100 years. And really we have to give the credit to our partners in government and what USDA, the Department of Homeland Security, Customs and Border Protection have done to help us keep that disease and other foreign animal diseases at bay. Everything from the Beagle Brigade at airports to all that is done to inspect cargo loads coming across the border. It's really a testament to the robust system that is there to protect us. But we know it's just a matter of time time before foot and mouth disease comes back. And it could simply be on the bottom of somebody's boot that's coming across our border that came up out of South America. It could be intentional. More than likely it's going to be accidental, but it's concerning because how fast it spreads. As soon as we get it, all cloven hooved animals that are in that area are going to take it and start spreading it. And when you look at the challenge that we have with feral hogs, for example, that adds another layer of concern to us as we try to prepare and be able to respond once it's in place. So given the nature of the virility of this particular disease and to try to get ahead of it, that's why we spend so much time, one, worrying about it, but also working to be prepared to address it.
Yeah. So how should we in the cattle industry prepare for such an outbreak?
So there's so many things that are going on right now. NCBA working with state animal health officials, USDA, other partners like US Cattle Trace, and a lot of our state cattlemen's associations affiliates. We work on drills and exercises to prepare because it's going to take all of us working together and with some of the other commodity groups like the pork producers and the milk producers, for example, to be able to ensure that we are prepared and we're ready to go. So that is one component of that. Another component is what we have done within the Farm Bill to ensure that we have money to fund a foot and mouth disease vaccine bank. So that way we can respond just as quickly as possible with vaccine. But a big part of it is just educating our producers on what this disease is and what they can do locally to be prepared. And that's a biosecurity plan that every operation needs, because once this hits, every single operation is going to see some sort of impact. So if you have a biosecurity plan to ensure you know who is coming on and off of your operation, so that way you can work to contain and protect yourself, that's going to go a long way in helping us respond to the overall disease, get this industry back into a mode of recovery, and ultimately protect those individual operations.
Now, I understand NCBA did receive a grant from USDA to help implement the Secure Beef Supply Plan, and I'm curious, how does that impact the kind of work you do from a producer education and biosecurity standpoint?
It again showcases that partnership with USDA is so important, because that kind of money is helping us with the outreach and education component that we just talked about. With that money, we're able to get out there and participate in drills, participate in exercises, get in front of producer communities and talk about the components of a biosecurity plan and what that should look like, and help make sure that they understand the serious nature of this and that they really need to spend some time implementing those plans for their own operations. But it's also about biosecurity and beef quality assurance. You know, BQA is an extremely important program for this industry, a very successful program that's really helped us improve this industry as a whole. And some of the modules that are a part of BQA are focused on biosecurity. And that NAD PREP grant money has really helped us do all of this work.
So last question, I mean, what advice do you have, whether you're a producer, a veterinarian, or anyone else within the beef supply chain? What can we be doing to help implement that Secure Beef Supply Plan in our own operations?
First things first, get BQA certified. That is the best thing that you can do, because not only will it help you with biosecurity plans and to understand the serious nature of how we can contain the spread of all animal diseases, but especially foreign animal diseases, go online and get your certification. But also participate in your local Cattlemen's Association and the drills and the exercises that are going on. Take part in our ability to work together, not only as the industry, but also with the government, to make sure that we are sharing as much information as possible. And go to our website, ncba.org, where we have a tremendous number of resources that you can utilize to better understand the disease, better understand the threat, and again, be prepared.
Yeah. And as I say, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. I think this is a wonderful step on behalf of the industry to prepare in the case of a terrible disease outbreak like foot and mouth that would absolutely lock our entire industry up. Thank you for your leadership on this important issue.
Thank you, Kevin.
Now, if you want to learn more about the Secure Beef Supply Plan, or learn how to write a biosecurity plan yourself that is specific to your own operation, you can visit the website securebeef.org. Coming up, we'll share some of the steps you can take to prepare and protect your own cattle operation. We'll be right back.
BRD stands for bovine respiratory disease. It isn't a specific disease, but it's the complex that we deal with. This particular group has used Draxxin KP. As they were using the KP, one of the biggest things they brought up to me was how much quicker the response was. They see that it works, and when you figure your cost into it, I think it's a significant return on an investment for them.
Handle feed, waste, and other materials on your operation with John Deere equipment. Weigh feed on the go with dynamic weighing. And move materials faster without spilling with the Level to Horizon feature on 6R tractors. Move and stack bales easily and clean up brush and debris with improved grapple work on 5 Series tractors. Get into tight spaces with skid steers and wheel loaders. And check calves, fences, and more with John Deere Gators. Ask your John Deere dealer to learn more.
As we talk about the threat of foot and mouth disease and how to prepare a secure beef supply plan, cattle producers need to know they have resources and trained experts they can turn to for help. To learn more about that, we visited with one of the leaders of that training process.
I'm joined now by Dr. Danelle Bickett-Weddle, owner of Preventalytics, and you do a lot of work in the area of biosecurity and the secure beef supply chain. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So I want to talk about the importance of getting this information about secure beef supply chain and biosecurity plans out. And you've been working with a very important group of people here today at a meeting. Can you tell us about that, please?
Yeah, I'd love to. So National Cattlemen's Beef Association hosted the Beef Quality Assurance State Coordinators Training. They're going to meet all week, and we piggybacked onto that to be able to do our first Train the Trainer program for this critical piece of getting information out to producers through those coordinators.
And I imagine with beef production being so regionalized and so different in every state, these state coordinators play a critical role in helping their members and the producers in their states develop a secure beef supply chain plan, whether they're a feed yard state or a cow-calf state, or they have a lot of stockers, or there's a lot of processing in their state. Talk about the importance of the roles that these BQA coordinators play in biosecurity.
You bet. So they're connected. They're connected to folks of all different types of production facilities. And I'm energized, right? Because we had folks in there that very much focused just on the feed yard sector. And so they could ask the questions and teach the folks that maybe only know a little bit more about cow-calf. But at the end of the day, they're all gonna have the resources to be able to go out and help those producers one-on-one, maybe in a workshop, learn a little bit more about business continuity planning for something like foot and mouth disease.
Talk a little bit about some of the exercises that these folks went through in the meeting.
Yeah, oh, it was so much fun. So we were really excited to have a feed yard and a really diversified cow-calf operation who also has poultry. Both of those farms worked with me ahead of time when we created this activity. So they gave us information about how many animals, what kind of movements come on and off, what their important things that they needed to make sure that they were keeping secure. Created worksheets, PowerPoint presentations. We presented that information, everybody broke up into groups, and the buzz was so loud. They were talking about this movement and that movement and all the considerations. At the end of the day, they got to see kind of the answer key and the revelation. You could just see the light bulbs going off and how they could then take that activity and do it with their producers in their state, again, to just take that information to the field, to the people that need it the most.
And that's a good point, to work with their producers in their state. So, you know, with biosecurity, you know, foot and mouth disease, of course, is the big one that keeps a lot of people up at night, but biosecurity plans have to be pretty fluid. You know, these train the trainer sessions aren't just one and done, right? Talk about the plans to continue to engage this group.
Yeah, you bet. So NCBA got USDA NADPREP funding, the National Animal Disease Preparedness and Response Plan, to be able to do more outreach. So this was one of 3 Train the Trainer programs. We've got a couple others coming up, trying to get more people, boots on the ground, that have that one-on-one relationship, whether they're a herd veterinarian, maybe a consulting veterinarian for a group of feed yards, or maybe these BQA state coordinators, to be able to take that information and get it to the people that can apply it to help protect their cattle, not only for foot and mouth disease, But a lot of the biosecurity things help with everyday diseases as well.
Really, at the end of the day, to make their herd more secure and really more profitable. You know, some producers might panic about trying to implement a biosecurity plan, but they really don't need to. Talk about how they can work with their state coordinators to really implement a plan fairly easily on their operations.
You bet. So many of the things that they're doing already is related to animal health, animal welfare, husbandry. That's where the basic biosecurity stuff starts. And they're doing that. If they're a BQA certified producer already, they're doing so many of those things. So how do we take those building blocks and add to it? So might need to think a little bit about how do we move cattle differently in an outbreak? How might we bring on feed in an outbreak? Those are all things that they can learn from their state coordinators through these training programs.
This issue is so critical to keeping the beef industry and the beef supply chain safe and secure. Thank you for the work that you do and for the work that you're doing with our state coordinators.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
The process of creating a secure beef supply plan for your own operation is not as challenging as you might think. And it's essential to your ability to protect your business in the event of an animal disease outbreak in the United States. Here are a few steps to consider as you begin this important process.
The Secure Beef Supply Plan is pretty straightforward. There's a tremendous amount of information online with really great templates and instructional videos on how to use the Secure Beef Supply Plan to develop that enhanced biosecurity plan for each individual operation. I think the thing that's important for producers to remember is that it's not a one-size-fits-all. You can tailor that template that's provided to your operation, and it makes it very, very easy to use. Another advantage with using the Secure Beef Supply Plan templates is that they are tailored to fit specific operations. So cow-calf has their own template, stocker producers have their own template, so it's very easy to use. There's a lot of components that go into it, but they're things that we do every day as cattle producers. We already know where our feed bins are at and how we're going to feed our cattle. We know how we're going to have feed brought onto the farm. We know where our mortality is going to be buried there. We use NRCS here in Alabama to help find burial spots for our daily mortality that may occur. So it's not something that's extremely unique. It's something that we already do. It's just putting it down on paper and having it available if we need it. So I think the veterinarian has a unique advantage in creating the biosecurity plans. Veterinarians are trained on biosecurity and disease prevention, and so they may see some of the areas that the producer who's there every day may not notice, which could be a biosecurity breach in the event of an outbreak. So I think having the veterinarian involved with the biosecurity plan, helping them write the biosecurity plan, it's a tremendous asset for the producers.
As you just heard, creating your own biosecurity plan is an important task. Just visit securebeef.org for step-by-step instructions on how to create a plan that fits your own operation. We'll be back with more Cattlemen to Cattlemen right after this. Stay with us.
It's time to vote for your favorite competitor in NCBA's National Anthem Singing Contest. The winner will sing the Star-Spangled Banner at CattleCon 2025 in San Antonio. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to perform on the big stage at CattleCon. It's all sponsored by Norbrook. Voting takes place November 1st to the 15th. To see the finalists and cast your vote, go to convention.ncba.org.
CattleCon's headed to San Antonio, February 4th through 6th, 2025, where farmers and ranchers gather to shape our industry's future. Remember, if you ain't at the table, you might just be on the menu. Check out the latest in ranching at the Texas-sized NCBA trade show. Network, learn, and grow your operation. Don't miss this chance to steer the cattle biz in San Antonio, where the Alamo spirit lives on. Visit convention.ncba.org to get registered. CattleCon 2025, where the beef industry meets.
Welcome back. As we wrap up our show, I'd like to ask Dr. Julia Herman to share a final message to producers about the importance of biosecurity and having a plan for your cattle business. Dr. Herman, what are your final thoughts?
You know, Kevin, I think biosecurity planning, it doesn't have to be complicated. I think this is a good conversation to have with everybody on the operation. It could be a training tool, a good conversation to have with the veterinarian. But I think we need to realize that biosecurity is always adapting. It's always adapting to whatever new risks are coming onto the operation. So we really need to be paying attention to this on a more regular basis. There are already great tools out there. You don't have to do this on your own. So our BQA Daily Biosecurity Plan is a good first step that has the same topics as a secure beef supply enhanced biosecurity plan. We're really trying to make this material accessible and easy to understand and easy to implement. And so I think just taking that first step and having that conversation is really important. It's really good for the individual operation, but also to the entire industry. Biosecurity is a shared problem, and so I think we all need to play our role in improving that for our industry.
As they've always said, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, right? So
Absolutely.
It's important to be prepared. Thank you so much for your insights today.
Thank you, Kevin.
That's our time for this edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you again next week, right here on RFD TV.